I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
And if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that thumbs up button real hard and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks.
And also click that little bell for all of the notifications.
Whee!
Always remember,
If Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it.
hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
Oh yeah, we are here to give our first impression of the real season 1 finale of Titans and what should have been the first episode of season 2.
So yeah, season 2 of Titans kicked up again, and we were going to do a first impression of the first episode, and then we saw it and we were a little confused, because I think it was supposed to be the final episode of season 1, how it went down, and season 2 seems to make more sense of what a season kickoff should have been. So it was odd, so we decided to wait till the episode 2 to do this recap.
And by the time you hear this, it'll probably be time for episode 3. So that's how we roll.
Shot. It's about time.
Hey, it is about time. I mean, I just couldn't get the ball in the hole. I wanted to, but I just couldn't do it.
An article from Forbes from a Linda Malay, and she stated Titans season 2 episode 2 is a real season premiere. So I don't know why they decided to end off the way that they did, or I'm sorry, start off the way that they did, and that maybe it was to force a cliffhanger at the end of season 1 and then bring you to this. Episode 1 felt like it should have been the season 1 finale. It was very odd.
Yeah, and so this is going to have some spoilers, because to be honest, I kind of want to rail on this so I need to spoil some of this stuff.
Everything.
If this was supposed to be a season finale for last season, it would have sucked. But the fact that it was a season premiere episode, to me, made it 10 times even worse. I thought this episode, the first episode of the second season, was complete garbage. It was very poorly written, and it was designed very poorly. So Trigon, one of the biggest characters from the Titans, like not even just from Titans, like he is a huge character within the DC universe, gets wiped out and Raven's hair color changes. Like in a matter of seconds, one of the biggest characters is either completely destroyed or he was transported back to his dimension or world, whatever you want to call it. It completely blew me away, because you think if you're going to leave it as a cliffhanger, he was going to be the antagonist throughout season 2 that you would carry on, and how are the Titans going to stop him? Like he's going to whip some ass and wreck the world, and this is what the Titans were going to have to fight against. But it's like somebody panicked and like, oh, we can't do this, just get them out of the way, and let's go much more simpler like we should have done, and hey, let's bring in Deathstroke, let's bring in Slade Wilson. It was so poorly done. And then the the dumbest thing that just bugged the hell out of me was that after they literally beat the brakes off of Beast Boy, Raven finally comes to after her bullshit, and she's like, instead of just going out there and whipping Trigon's ass, which she could have done from the start, and everybody went back to normal afterwards, she decides to go in and try to bring back Dick Grayson. And she does this whole thing where if she dies in the dream, she's gonna die. And so he saves her after watching her fall forever, and there's no way in hell he should have been able to catch her, but she falls forever, he catches her, he comes back, and then just stands there, does absolutely nothing. She goes and beats Trigon, and they all come back, and it was just worthless. A worthless episode, killed the mother, no logic to it whatsoever, blew me away on how stupid it was.
In terms of episode 1, I will agree with you. I thought it was very odd. It felt like the momentum for this episode was kind of off, and I don't know why they decided to tie it up the way that they did. I've heard and read different rumors that maybe they're saving Trigon and he's not actually dead, and that they're going to bring him back at a later time, which I agree with you. They definitely should have done to begin with. I also thought it felt kind of like a filler episode, even though it also should have been the end of season 1, even though it was also kicking off season 2. So it's just very odd, because a lot of the things that happened, as you mentioned, were trying to bring, some of the characters back to the good side, and trying to bring Dick Grayson back, and they were trying to have these emotional connections with the characters that just didn't quite work. I didn't hate it as much as you did from the sounds of it, but it just felt odd to me. And I left it. I felt like the majority of it and the way that I felt after watching it was due to the fact that it should have been the end of season 1. But then after watching season 2, I kind of felt like, no, this is the direction they should have gone to begin with. I agree with Trigon. He kind of was what he was. It was just it was weird, and a weird way to tie up kind of all the loose ends and then send the characters in different directions.
Yeah, this is how Raven's story arc just ends with a hair color change. And now she's got the ruby in the middle of her forehead. It just was so mind-bogglingly stupid. And the Hawk and Dove characters, the Dove character herself she's hot, and I like seeing her on screen. But the Hawk and Dove characters seem so out of fucking place with this damn storyline that's something that really bugs me. It's like they get there because they were contacted by Raven through the coma. Cool how they brought them there, but they were useless. They were useless. Everybody was just so useless in this, and it just blew me away that was it. And then they just tidy up, all right, let's go. Beast Boy got the beat out of him, but he's fine now. He's cool with everything. Hey, look, let's all just go on our merry way, and we're gonna go back and we're gonna start up the tower again, the Teen Titans. And the guy that played Bruce Wayne, holy shit, that is probably the worst Bruce Wayne I have ever seen. The guy, I meant to look this up, and this is my fault, but I wanted to see where he came from. It sounded like he was trying to fight his natural accent, and he's trying to sound American. And I remember my girlfriend was like, they have Bruce Wayne in this show? Nah, that must be Alfred, because I'm hearing this accent, and it just must be an Alfred, because he looks like an Alfred. and then it turns out he's supposed to be Bruce Wayne. This is supposed to be Batman.
I actually thought he got much better in the second episode, but I agree with you. And I looked it up while you were kind of on that little
tangent.
His name is Ian Glenn, and he's Scottish.
Thank you.
And he's actually been in the Resident Evil film, and he was also in Game of Thrones, apparently. So yeah, I agree. I thought the same thing. I actually thought he was British. And he was trying to fight off an accent.
It's all the same thing. They're all issues over there. British, Scottish.
Or he was trying to, he was forcing a deep voice. That's what it kind of seemed like to me, is he was trying to be kind of intimidating and have the Bruce Wayne deep voice that, that I would prefer. But in the second episode, he felt a little more natural. And I didn't mind him as much, but I agree with you. For their casting, it was kind of weird. I know a lot of people were high on him when they did cast him, and this first episode was just odd. It just didn't feel right.
Okay, so that first episode I thought was garbage. I don't know what your opinion is.
It wasn't great. I'll say that's my political answer. It was not great, but I was ready. The biggest thing for me, and this will be kind of the theme, is the introduction and kind of building this show with all the characters. The introduction of Deathstroke to me, even when I saw him on the poster, I thought he looked badass. I thought the way that they introduced him was pretty sweet, and it kind of teased for, okay, this is going to be the main antagonist for season 2, and I'm pretty stoked for it. So that was kind of the highlight of episode 1, but yeah, was not good.
Then we get to episode 2, which again, I thought was so disjointed, so poorly written. I don't know what the and this is, I'm going to lay this out right here. I thought I paid attention fairly well, but if I didn't, and people can correct me, I don't know what the anybody was doing. I don't know why Starfire and Donna Troy are in Chicago under surveillance in a van. They never fucking explain that. Then Hawk and Dove, for some fucking reason, are in Wyoming trying to help some rando guy on a horse. I have no fucking clue who that guy is. I have no idea why they're in Wyoming. I have no idea what's going on. Apparently, there's an addiction trying to be beaten, which I know about that. I realize that Hawk has that. And for some reason, Dove is out beating up meth heads in a meth factory in a barn.
This is fantastic.
I don't know what the fuck is going on. And then they're in San Francisco in the Titans Tower. and they're getting trained, kinda. Not once did they ever show Dick Grayson actually training anybody. It was just weird. And then they pick up Slade Wilson's daughter, and because he saw her on TV beating the out of police. And somehow he just magically finds her passed out, picks her up, and takes her all the way back to the Titans Tower. No explanation for that. No explanation at all for why he did it and why he picked her up. Like, why are they leaving that information out? It's just jumping over and over again to all these points. And you have no idea why. Then the kid that in Wyoming, he just blows up. They go full Iron Man 3 here. Worst Marvel movie, and they choose that as a ploy. They have human bombs. Awesome. I guess they're trying to say it's Dr. Light.
Yes.
But, all right. I guess Dr. Light's here, guys.
That part was kind of weird.
Really?
So to kind of fill in a little bit, this is fast forwarding 3 months ahead, and way to use your imagination, Matt. You should have been able to fill in the gaps and go, oh, okay, this is 3 months ahead. This is obviously what they're doing now. They all kind of parted ways, and you just have to kind of go, okay, this is what they are doing now. They're showing me the reason why these characters are in different places. In terms of the farm and all of a sudden Dr. Light showing up, that was weird. That was super weird. I didn't get that. But most of the episode, I enjoyed how they were kind of setting a foundation. It was pretty slow. You can also tell that they're trying to switch to, and I'm blaming Jeff Johns for this, just to blame Jeff Johns for it. But the first season, it felt like they were trying to be kind of like a Daredevil type Netflix type show. And then now in season 2, they're bringing a little bit more levity to it. There were some corny jokes. We had the one where Dick Grayson's name is Dirk, and I'm like, okay, awesome. And then another one where Jason Todd and Beast Boy are like kind of fighting each other, and then he gets hit in the head a couple times and he gets angry for it. You can tell they're trying to have like a hybrid now between not as far as Daredevil, but not as light as Supergirl or Arrow or Flash or some of the CW. They're trying to find like an in-between because the F-bombs dropped a couple times. That was the only thing that that was the only thing that kind of bugged me a little bit, was the tone. I really enjoyed the tone of the first season, and now all of a sudden you can tell they're trying to bring a little bit of levity into it.
Well, it reminds me a lot of Arrow. I remember the first season was so down, so gritty, and realistic, and he killed motherfuckers. And then all of a sudden the second season comes and he's like, I'm not killing people anymore, and they try to turn him into like Batman. He has to have a code, and then like the jokes start coming in. Third season, even more jokes, and like it just starts diluting the product for what it really was. I like Dick Grayson because he struggled with his demons, and yes, because of Raven, she was able to help him control his demons and vanquish them, and his talks with Bruce is supposed to help him with that. But now he's just like such a lighthearted, like smiley, giddy guy. It's just like a complete 180 from the character from the first season. And I get that that's maybe character growth, but how about ease into it a little bit? I don't know. It's just like he's always smiling. He's making jokes now. It just seems random. It just seems off a lot of the times. And can we just get to the Nightwing shit already? I thought it was like episode 8 where like his Robin costume got burned in the fire, and like that was supposed to be the symbolic nature of Robin, you know, his version of Robin being burned and going away. And like I'm like, okay, here we go. He's finally gonna get into the Nightwing, or at least fight under a different costume or something. And like they still, even here, they kept teasing it. Like, if I'm Robin, what are you? Well, I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. And like, just like, I'm like, okay, can we just get to it already? Like, you're already losing the symbolic nature of the Robin costume being burned in like the later episodes of the season 1. And now it's just dragging on. It just drove me nuts. I thought it was terrible. I'm really not sure if I'm going to make it through this season. I'll give episode 3 a chance. But after that, if it's still this shitty, I'm really sad to see Titans go. Get it?
much. Yep. So for me, as of right now, I'm still I'm invested in this series. Hopefully the tone doesn't push too far in the other direction as like the CW shows, because I quit watching them. They weren't it for me. But I really like the foundation that this, so far, episode 2 was able to kind of lay. You had a lot of introduction of a lot of new characters with Dr. Light, Shimmer. You have Rose Wilson now, obviously, Deathstroke, Slade Wilson. As Matt mentioned as well, that we're going to get Nightwing eventually. Matt just doesn't like the little cock tease, apparently. And then a brief mention of Roy Harper. I was also looking up the episode 4 right now, tentatively, is called Aqualad. So they're starting to bring a lot of the Titans characters and somewhat of Young Justice characters kind of to this show, which I like. We also haven't seen a single thing from Superboy. They ended off season 1 showing, okay, you get the clone of Superman, you get Superboy, looked pretty badass, and we haven't seen anything with him. So I'm patiently waiting to see kind of how this all comes together. I hope I'm not fooled, but for right now, I'm invested and I'm in it.
In case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.